the Irving City Mayoral Candidate Forum, hosted by the Irving Muslims PAC. I am your forum moderator, Shala Faisi, and citywide elections are just around the corner. The official election date is May 2nd, with early voting beginning from April 20th to the 28th, and undoubtedly, the most hotly contested seat is the mayoral seat. And we have with us our mayoral candidates, Dr. Olivia, Novelo, Abreu. I would love it if the candidates could introduce themselves. This is a timed forum, so you have 3 minutes each to introduce yourselves. And when the question and answers begin, you will have we will have 1 minute to answer the questions and any follow-up questions. So please, if you could, Dr. Olivia.
Sure. The good thing about doing this over and over, you always add and subtract things that you like and things you don't like. I am Dr. Olivia Elizabeth Novelo Abreu, a candidate for mayor of Irving. I have been a resident for the city, in this beautiful city, for over 40 years. I am a mathematician and an accountant. My master's in linguistics with a specialty in TESOL, which is Teachers of English to Speakers of Other Languages, is from Columbia University in New York. I earned a doctorate in curriculum and instruction from Texas A&M Commerce. I have been elected and selected to very important positions from an early age. In Mexico, I was the training director for the country's IRS, Internal Revenue Service, as well as a college professor for the National Autonomous University of Mexico. Upon moving to America, I have worked extensively in both private and public sectors, plus given thousands of volunteer hours to community service, shelters, boards, and other institutions. My full-time job before retiring was faculty at North Lake College. Furthermore, I have lectured in several countries, always carrying with me my multiculturalism in wherever I go. I speak several languages and I'm quite familiar to most world cultures. And a fun fact about me is that I have rescued so far 4 dogs.
Wow.
I didn't even like dogs when I was little, and now I just love my 4 dogs. They're all different sizes, different dogs. And vote Olivia. Oh, organize L Latina. That it has been done so far. Thank you so very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Olivia. And please, Mr. Zapanta, please introduce yourself to our audience and why are you going to mayor?
Thank you. My name is Al Zapanta. I've served on the city council here in Irving now for 8 years and had the opportunity to chair our planning and development committee along with our finance and audit committee, as well as being part of the last 21 years that I moved back into the Metroplex area and focused on very specific areas of being part of the Planning and Zoning Commission, also chairing the the tax increment finance district here in the Las Colinas area, along with the Charter Review Committee that I chaired about 10 years ago. The whole idea of local government, nonpartisan government, is to be able to provide everybody the ability to have their representative both on the city council, whether it's mayor or the other 8 council members, to be able to provide the kind of leadership, but also the experience of understanding how a city runs, roads, water, the various areas of library, parks, recreation, and the amenities that the tax dollar that many of our citizens do, in fact, put forward to expect that ability by the city council and its mayor to really show the way for the future. I will tell you, it's been a pleasure. It's been an honor. I've served in government at all levels, both at federal, state, and now at the local level. And it's always an honor because you represent the people and your neighbors. Thank you.
Thank you so much to the both of you. So from here on, we'll go on to the question and answer segment. As I mentioned before, I will be asking questions. You have a minute to respond. And any follow-up question, you will also have a minute to answer that question. And please keep in mind that because it is hosted by the Irving Muslim PAC, we have first and foremost brought up certain concerns of the Muslim community because it is a difficult time, and Muslims are concerned constituents facing some unprecedented challenges. So, my question number one is where do you stand in terms of addressing anti Muslim rhetoric that has become so widespread in Texas, fueled by anti Muslim sentiment expressed by our Governor Greg Abbott and other high profile politicians? Please, Dr. Olivia.
I feel that it shouldn't happen.
Mhm.
In my classrooms, it was like working with the United Nations, where my Muslims and my Catholics and my Christians and my Hindu were all together, and we were just having the purpose of learning, the purpose of teaching. What's happening now, it's really confusing. Schools where kids are not going anymore because they're scared. My own daughters who feel that they're being profiled, and even me, that sometimes I just don't know what to say or what to feel. So, absolutely, I feel for you. I'm one of you. And it shouldn't be happening. And there has to be a way that we can at least stop it locally.
Right.
And protect you, protect us.
For sure. Mr. Zapanta.
Thank you. Yeah, I've served in countries that are of Muslim faith, both in North Africa as well as Middle East, as well as locations in the South Pacific. And so I'm very, very comfortable in the way of how people think, how they spend the time to really demonstrate their faith. I really will tell you that probably one of the greatest of the efforts that I worked on in my 8 years on the city council was to be able to help our Muslim brothers and sisters have their own cricket field for the first time in Irving. And I've delivered, especially for the mosque up in Valley Ranch.
Mhm.
And as you well know, we have now 2 cricket fields that are in the area right near uh, 635 and Riverside is one, and then the second one is right off of Royal and Riverside. So I think that's one of the demonstrated. The other is during my time, uh, I was able to help our mosque there at in Valley Ranch to help their expansion, to be able to help them work with Encore so that they were able to have the parking that they needed to expand the mosque and have their meeting area. So it's very comfortable for me to work with people from all faiths. And I feel very good about the time that I've had that ability there in the Valley Ranch area, most specifically, as well as the other mosques that are in the city of Irving.
So I think this sort of connects to my question number two. This comes from a concern about an incident last year. Uh, when it comes to city governance, council meetings play a key role in what comes to the forefront of decision making for the city. Last year in May, 3 addenda items relating to casino zoning, call for a ceasefire in Gaza, and fiscal transparency were removed last minute from the agenda, even though they had been submitted more than 72 hours prior to the meeting. What specific reforms would you be implementing to ensure agenda items are not removed? Because again, these were submitted on time, and these are things that are of specific concern to Muslim constituents. How would you address this? Please, Dr. Olivia.
Absolutely. As you know, I'm not sitting in the council, so I don't know exactly what happens in the work sessions, because the public can be at the open ones, but you don't know what's going on behind the scenes.
Right.
So if protocol and if regulations were violated, which means that should have stayed, because it says it very clearly that 72 hours you gave at the time. I really believe that the council members should have at least explained why and how that was done,
Mm.
and what could have been done, because it's over, it's a year now.
It's over a year.
What could have been done to correct the issue?
And but here's the thing: how would you ensure that moving forward, nothing like this ever happens? Like,
Well, I pay a lot of attention to detail.
Mm.
So I follow rules, I follow regulations. I've been studying nonstop. And I will continue doing the same work that I know has been done, but making sure that I know what the regulations are.
Right.
And also when the lawyer has to be involved, just to
Correct.
find out why did this happen and how did this happen and how are we going to correct it,
Correct.
before it grows into something that it shouldn't have happened.
Sure. Mr. Zapanta.
Yes. Well, I'll tell you exactly what happened.
Mm.
First of all, there were three members that put that forward.
Mm.
And then the full council decided not to go forward with it. And majority rules. And that's exactly what happened. So we did hear during our work sessions some of the concerns, and we've continued to deal with them. And so I think the track record is there. Transparency has to be there. We have been very straightforward on that. And I think it's no secret that there is a diversity on the city council, and there is a diversity of both, not only ideological, religious, as well as political. Well, we're a nonpartisan, and that's where it needs to stay and be there for all of the people, and we've done that.
The next question, again, is a hot topic last year. It relates to the proposal for building a casino within Irving. Do you believe that the push to rezone by Sands Corporation effectively kept the door open for casinos in Irving, particularly?
Again, I'm not behind the scenes, so I don't know. But I can tell you from my perspective, and I responded in writing, it's a no to casinos.
Mm.
Irving already has enough issues as it is as a city.
Mm.
I think we need to concentrate on what we already have and keep it clean, keep it safe. And again, I don't know. You see, people talk, but I don't have any research. I just understand that it was a hot topic, like you said, and for now, it's a definite no. And it's also because the residents spoke. For the first time, I saw people of all creeds and of all races and of all religions standing up and saying no.
Mm.
So again, I really hope it stays that way. Again, under my vote is a no to casinos.
Sure. Mr. Zapanta.
Sure. It's against the law
Mm.
until the state legislature passes casino and or gambling or together. Until that time, until it comes out of the state senate,
Mm.
then goes to the population of the state of Texas to see yes or no, do they want it? We at the local level have no say-so one way or another. You can say it that you don't like this or you don't like that. We look at it as a member of the elected body of the city of Irving, that we take up issues that are there that we have to deal with from a legal standpoint. And it's not even legal because it's not even law.
Correct. But if suppose that at any point things are changing rapidly in Texas, Texas legalizes casinos and a proposal is brought in, would you be in favor of zoning a casino in Irving?
I'm not going to answer it because I told you that it's against the law.
Mm.
And until that happens, then you'll know what my vote is.
All right. Moving to the next question, and this relates to city safety per se in terms of spending on our police departments and crime that uh, currently occurs in Irving. According to data, the police departments in Irving get a yearly funding of $67 million. And despite that, Irving ranks a D in terms of crime safety, with some of the highest numbers of crimes being in vehicular theft, murder, and assault. The total crime cost to the city of Irving residents is about $158 million. That is over twice what we are giving to the police department. Our tax dollars are not working towards our safety and well being. How do you plan to change that, Dr. Olivia?
I think it all starts from communities. You almost have to organize the famous or infamous blocks to where you can really have, like we have in New York, where you have a block captain, where it really becomes very familiar with the block itself and helps them. Educating, again, that's why I'm so much for education, that really and truly, I believe that police officers are trying to do their job. The population has changed dramatically in the 40 years that I've been here.
Right.
And of course, where you could back then leave your car open and nothing would happen. Today is there's a lot of crime, and we know that.
Mm.
There's not a day that we go out that there's not a horrible traffic accident. You can't have enough police officers unless we police ourselves. And the only way that you could do that is, again, giving us the tools that we can say, hey, I will report such and something will happen.
What do you envision those tools to be? Again, that's a lot of money going
I
into
totally agree.
our police force, and
And
still a really high amount of crime, especially when you look at the statistics. I didn't put it down, but it's a really high number when it comes to vehicular theft and murder and assault. These were the three highest that we've got. Especially with murder and assault. These are things that, especially heinous crimes, what do we have in place, or what do you propose, or how do we have the police force work more efficiently, that we are paying tax dollars? How come it's not working to make us safer?
you again, it's open communication. If you don't go in communicating with the police officers and the chief of police, and you really sit down and see what they envision and what the community envisions, you cannot come up to with a solution. And yes, tax dollars are high to keep police officers, and it's very hard to hire them, train them, and keep them. And I still believe that they're trying to do their very best.
So you propose open communication between police departments and the
And
local community?
yes, absolutely, absolutely.
Mr. Zapanta.
First of all, we do that, and our police are very good about doing that. In fact, we were lauded by the National Police Association that our police department started what we call visiting our barbershops locally to then engage directly with the people that, you know, are really going to salons for women as well as barbershops for men. And that's a direct engagement in our community, and our police do it. Secondly, I take a ride along at least once a year with our police, and that's a 12-hour during the middle of the evening and early morning to really see how our police operate. And I will tell you, not only do they do it well, they do it coordinated and they do it communicative. When they have to come on a certain focus, whether it's an accident or it might be somebody in need, guess what? You'll have 3 cars within a matter of 5 minutes on that site. The other part that's really interesting is your statistics. Well, statistics are statistics of where you get them from, okay? And so Are we crime ridden in the Metroplex? We have crime. And there are parts of the Metroplex that are much, much more, I guess, criminally infected. And I don't need to point it out. I think we know where those are. But more importantly, the thing that we did is with our citizen council that we have is our bond committee made up of citizens. We allocated over $200 million for public safety, police and fire. Let me also say something, 85 plus more, maybe as high as 87% of all the accidents, because we have 6 major highways throughout the city, are being answered by our fire department.
Correct.
They are handling over 80% of all those accidents.
Right.
Not that many fires, but they handle the fires. Our police are always there. We lost a police officer because a drunk driver, he was trying to help one of the cars that were then in a wreck on 114. He got hit. Okay? So there's a lot of things we can point fingers, but I will tell you, I am very, very happy with the level of police work. I'm very supportive of our chief, and the same on our fire. We are now building our whole area of EMS, emergency medical services. Why? Because of those impacts on our highways, as well as other kinds of things that are happening. I will tell you, we are not the worst that people think numbers show. You can look all around the Metroplex and you'll see we are definitely really solid. Thank you.
I don't doubt that we're not the worst. I think the concern is that we are still a D, or at best a C. So how do we bring that into where theft, murder, and assault are not some of the highest crimes that exist in Irving? That would be my follow-up question. So please, how would we, because undoubtedly our police, our emergency teams, they're doing their best, but there is still heavy loss of property and other like non-material thing that is costing the people of Irving $158 million. How do we fix that?
I don't think there's an easy fix, and I would have to agree with candidate Zapanta that I really believe that the police officers and of course the firefighters are really trying to do their best. It is again, and you understand this because many times I go to many of my amazing, great friends, the Latinos, and I walk in, and it's just like I'm floored to see sometimes even the shouting and the aggression that goes in just from the family members. So what else do you expect when they go out? So it's the community, it's the unity again that we need to find, and it's not an easy fix, and it's not going to happen overnight.
For sure, for sure.
So again, I said it at the beginning, we need to capitalize on what, the good things that we already have and make them better. But there will never be a crime-free place.
Oh, no doubt about that. We're just hoping that we can make it step by step safer. Mr. Zapanta, please.
We were able to focus on domestic violence in this city, which was brought together by volunteers. And now we were able to get the federal government through our congressperson to raise, and actually the grant was granted for $5.8 million to marry up with what we already had allocated. So it'll be over 16 million for a domestic violence center. That's number one.
Okay.
Number two, what's really important. So what did we do with the money that we were trying to focus for our fire and police? We are now at full staffing. 3 years ago, we had 20 vacancies. Vacancies happen whether it's fire or police
Right.
because of retirements,
Right.
because of going to other. We are getting other police
Mm.
and fire coming to want to be in Irving.
Mhm.
We have one of the highest level of pay for firemen
Mhm.
and fire women.
Right.
We're getting there with the police. And so at the end of the day, people want to know that they're being handled by the kind of police and fire trained individuals.
Right.
That's what that $200 million to be in that public safety area that will be all along 161, not too far from here.
Mhm.
But at the end of the day, when you take a ride with them, you then get a real sense how fortunate we are to have these men and women that are always in a very tough position.
Sure. The next question is sort of related. Do you support expanding Irving's participation in the federal 287G program, which allows local law enforcement to collaborate with ICE on immigrant arrests? Yes or no? Keeping in mind that over 60% of Irving's population is of immigrant background.
No,
Mm.
absolutely no.
Please, if you could elaborate.
Absolutely. Again, I come from Latinos and I'm an immigrant myself.
Mm.
So I've seen enough.
Mm.
It's already at the airports, friends of mine that just are so afraid to even going out
Mm.
and about.
Mm.
And we're talking about just the regular, just going out and about the stores, and it's just not right.
Mm.
So again, the federal and the state and the local governments have to work together.
Right.
I agree on that, but I would not support them to being here locally with us with all the prerogatives that the law gives them.
Okay. Mr. Zapanta.
Yep.
So you would support the program?
No.
No. Okay. I'm sorry.
No,
I have to
I
clarify.
don't have to elaborate. No.
I just wanted to clarify. All right. And I guess the final concern that.
Can I finish that
Yes.
comment?
Oh, please go ahead.
Why?
Why? Yes.
We have a police force
Mm.
that can handle those emergencies.
Mm.
And they already have a relationship that we've had for over 10 years.
Mhm.
And when they apprehend an individual and that person comes into our jail,
Mm.
they automatically will send the whole list of those people that did not have documents.
Mm.
And then it gets cleared,
Mhm.
period. We don't need them in our city. We handle it.
Okay. Please, if you could welcome Ms. Zhanae Jackson. You are the third candidate for mayor. I think I will ask you the same question, and then I will do further questioning with you as well. Do you support expanding Irving's participation in the federal 287G program, which allows local law enforcement to collaborate with ICE on immigrant arrests, keeping in mind that over 60% of Irving's population is of immigrant background?
Honestly, when it comes down to jobs and housing, I don't mind helping ICE. I will help.
What would your reasoning be?
My
How
reasoning,
how would it relate to housing and jobs?
there's a lot of criminals that crossed our border in the Biden administration. I'll give you a prime example of the Cuban man that beheaded the Indian hotel owner. Not all immigrants are bad, but some of them are. And when it comes down to the ones that come and they cause trouble in our city, yes, I will absolutely help deport them.
But would you consider that even if we took the argument of illegal immigrants coming in, uh, would you consider all of them bad? Because let's be honest,
Absolutely not.
in Irving and in Texas, a majority of our labor workforce is also of the immigrant community. Right now, there are a lot of things that are on hold because people of the immigrant community are scared to go out of their houses.
Absolutely. I am aware of that.
It is something that you know, farms are empty. They are no longer able to harvest their crops. There are construction sites that are empty because they don't have anybody helping out with the construction. If we have further for ICE within our communities, do you think that it would negatively impact that, or how would you even propose to rectify that situation?
As far as the people who are afraid to come out of their homes, I absolutely understand that. I'm actually working with Adobo's Puerto Rican Cafe, attempting to save his business. So I am aware of the people who's dealing with those issues. However, for the people who have crossed the border, who come contentiously with contentious plans to attack Texans or to harm anyone here, when it comes down to ICE, I would rather be honest and upfront so everyone would know what they get. I absolutely would assist.
All right, so I will then go down to the last question I have. And this seems to be a concern of, in a sense, that there uh, a certain segment of population that has concerns about the kind of content that is accessible to minors within our public libraries. They feel that some of the content probably needs to be either marked or placed separately, that it may be too explicit for younger audiences in public libraries. What do you feel about this concern, and do you agree with it? And how would you handle it, Dr.
Well,
Olivia?
more than a concern, I'm a bookworm, and I'm also street smart. I have both, which is not bad. But I've spent my life studying and learning about you, about communities. So I've spent so much time in the library. Librarians have advanced degrees in library science. They really, I think we have a wonderful library system, and they try to do their very best. And they do have strict regulations about the child, the children's, and the youth, and the adult. Like the children, an adult has to be with them, but I cannot be by myself without a child for protection. Then the youth is here, and then the adults. Basically, it is the parents and the guardians that need to keep an eye, because I've seen little ones roaming around without nobody really paying attention where they are. So the materials are really focused to them. Now, once in a while, we will make mistakes. We're nothing but humans. And I really believe that when that happens, if you bring that to the attention of one of our librarians, that person will try to correct the issue right away. And it will hopefully not happen again. But that's my take. We need to give them, the professionals, the right to really do their very good job, and also tend to the parent or the caregiver that comes with a very strict situation and says this shouldn't be happening. And just listen to them and come to an agreement.
Sure. Mr. Zapanta.
Yeah, first of all, it's the preview of the parents on underage children as far as utilizing whatever materials we have in our library. We are a public library system. We have 3, and we're going to be building a 4th one here in the next year. Number one. Number two, we have now, and we will be taking it up next week, looking back at the bylaws that we have for each one of our committees and throughout the city, but most specifically in the library. And we now have looked at it. We are now not only reviewing it, we have our legal office not only looking at that, but looking at what the laws. There was a law that was dealt with in the Llano part of Texas that basically said the First Amendment. But then how do you then manage the inside of a library to be sure that you then have safe spaces, things of this sort? We've had an influx of homeless that have gone into our main library right off of Irving Boulevard and will go up to the second floor where there are children up there. And we now have dealt with that. You don't see that anymore. And so at the end of the day, our libraries are very, very precious to our city. And what we are doing right now, we will be sitting with our advisory committee that we actually appoint. Each one of us, all 9 of ours, will then and have done an appointment from our districts. The other is the bylaws that were drawn up almost 18 years ago. We're now taking in and we're going to be doing the things that we need to do to tighten them up so that the advisory committee, who is an extension of us on the city council, then can actually work with our staffs, with the librarians, but not to go in and try to then say, here's how we want you to do it.
Right.
That's what they do as our professional librarians. But to advise, and if not, things are not working, then we get involved. And we are doing it right now, and you'll see the bylaws come out in the next 2 weeks.
Ms. Jackson.
And I have to excuse myself.
Sorry.
No, thank you for doing this. This is really, my friends, we have done a lot of things together. And so, but I do have another engagement that I have to be in.
It's absolutely.
We're running on
Mr.
skates
Zapanta.
until May 2nd. You know what I mean?
Right.
But
right.
thank you. At least I wanted to answer the last
Right.
one.
No, thank you so much.
See you. You're everywhere.
I'll see you tomorrow.
Good. Excuse me.
So
See you.
as far as
I'm
my
out.
answer,
Good to see you.
like I said, I'm a very honest and upfront person,
Yes, please.
very transparent. I do know that it is an issue to a lot of people. They're concerned about certain content being taken out of the libraries. I actually know one of the books that is being removed, and it is a book teaching a young girl how to bind her breast. I have a daughter. So when it comes down to that type of material in the library, I do believe that parents should have some type of control over the material that their children view. And I say that as lightly as I can, because to be honest, if it was my sole decision alone, I would completely remove it out of the libraries.
But here's where it sort of becomes tricky. It is about what everybody's individual opinion that exists about matters.
Absolutely.
Because the thing is, we discussed this before, and I will ask you the same question. The Muslim community in Texas is under deep scrutiny.
Mm-hmm.
In Houston, in a school, a teacher put up the sign Ramadan Kareem when it was the beginning of the month of Ramadan. And a parent was deeply offended by this. And they were like, this is unacceptable. Our schools must remain secular, even though there was no such protest for any Easter sign or any Christmas decorations. So if the same rule applies, there can be parents who'd be like, why is the Quran in the library? Why are there books on Ramadan in the library?
I can see your point. I would look at the Quran as a religious book, not so much of a sexual.
It has the same accessibility. And again, in terms of sex, people have different opinions about how they would like to educate their children about this. I think that is where the whole issue sort of lies. And people have strong opinions about this. This is one of the most polarizing things that
To
has
talk to
always
your
existed.
children about sex, as again, this material was made available in toddler sections, 5-6 year olds. That's not a conversation. We sexualize the children too much. So if I'm elected as mayor, protecting the children is very big to me. Again, I have 3 children. So LGBTQ material, I can't. I would love, for the sake of the voters, to say that I will keep that type of material or that I'm okay with that type of material. But I believe that it's important for me to be as transparent as possible, so people will know who they're voting for and why they're voting for me. LGBTQ material, like I said, if it's targeting a child, a minor, someone that is under the age of 17 years old, it should be done with parental consent. But at the same time, there are a lot of parents out there that are abusive and manipulative, and they're teaching their children sexual content way too early. We cannot ignore things that's happening in, like with Diddy, child sex trafficking cases. I don't have a choice but to be strong when it comes down to this issue, because we're sexualizing our kids too much. That don't belong in the libraries. Sexual material, teaching your daughter how to bind her breast, teaching your son how to be a girl. I'm I'm not okay with that, and I'm not going to pretend that I am.
All right. We've done all the questions that we have. If I could do a couple of questions with just you, Ms. Jackson.
Yes, ma'am.
We have already gone through this. I know Dr. Olivia's answers, but I am curious about your answers. If
Okay.
you could just give me one moment. So we did with you about the ICE program. I will ask you the question that I just did just before that.
Okay.
Uh, Especially when it regards to Irving City safety. This is like a matter for all residents of Irving. It's not about one community or the other.
Absolutely.
So, according to data, our police departments in Irving receive annually $67 million. Despite that, Irving ranks a D when it comes to crime safety, with some of the highest crime numbers being in vehicular theft, murder, and assault. The total cost of all of these crimes for taxpayers is $158 million. So not only are our taxpayer dollars funding the police department, but there's a $158 million extra that comes with all of these crimes combined. Our tax dollars are not working for us. How do you plan to change that?
So when you say our tax dollars is not working for us, you're referring to public safety, a budget that is very important. Um, Unfortunately, I don't have inside relationships with the police department to understand what programs are failing. However, I could suggest an outside audit be completed to see what's happening with the money, where the money is going, and also suggesting better things. I'm very tech forward. I've said that I'm innovative. I believe drones and parking lot cameras, as you mentioned, vehicle theft, parking lot cameras could solve that. Instead of having so many people be on the ground, maybe we can go in the air with the cameras and with the drones. Allowing drones to be dispatched will solve our call time. It'll shrink. Our numbers will shrink, which means we will be able to respond to crimes quicker if we have drones, if we have cameras in the parking lot. We will be able to monitor those situations to make sure that those situations are prevented. Even having crime stoppers, neighborhood associations, going out to those associations and designating someone to help work with the police officers directly. Those are suggestions that I can make. I am constantly looking at the budget, the city budget, and I did find a couple of areas where I can make cuts to save taxpayers dollars. But the cuts that I found, it wasn't related to public safety.
My follow up to that is you are you wish for the police program and ICE program to cooperate with one another, and you propose the use of high tech technology to create more eyes on the ground, as you put it. There is a real like a concern, especially with people, especially in places like Minneapolis, where ICE has um, done lots of raids. People are against that, and they are proposing the use of drones to face map to arrest people illegally. That could also be a concern that people could raise if we're using technology which maps people without their consent. If the drones are everywhere, if there are cameras
We
everywhere,
don't know if it maps their face without consent. That is not confirmed.
but if it's there and it's all the time, and we are, let's suppose, cooperating with ICE, how would you prevent that technology from being misused?
So as it relates to ICE, even if we don't work with the police, even if I say that I wouldn't want ICE to work with the police department, because of what Governor Abbott did, any city that has a jail has to automatically work with ICE immediately. So if I was elected mayor, I would still have to follow that law, just like every other city. Now, to make sure that ICE, let's say, don't get the technology that I'm suggesting is being used, or let's say they tried to get their hands on the technology that's being used. I believe there should be maybe a legal system set in place where they can inquire about it. That doesn't mean that they would have access to it. It doesn't mean that we will approve it, but that is all hypothetical discussions, right?
Correct.
So if it was, let's say the police department was to get that type of technology and ICE was to come to them and say, hey, we want those cameras and we want this because we want to track X, Y, and Z. Again, setting up measures to make sure that everyone is made aware of, hey, ICE is going to be using this technology in our city. I'm okay with that. Setting up a program that'll notify the residents that we are allowing ICE to use our technology.
Okay. And this topic was a really hot one last year because it's the issue of the casino. Do you believe that the push to rezone by the Sands Corporation effectively kept the door open for casinos in Texas?
Yes. Are you asking how I feel about casinos coming to Irving?
Right now, it's illegal, correct?
Correct.
If in the future, things are rapidly shifting in Texas. If gambling became legal, would you want one? Would you want a casino in Irving?
No. Irving is not a location for a casino. Irving is a family-based city. It is a city of professionals and hard workers. Irving is not a place where we would want a casino to bring addiction and everything else that comes with it. There's a lot that comes with casinos. Look at Vegas. And also, we're the headquarters of headquarters. There's a lot of corporations here. To bring a casino would change our community character. I wouldn't want a casino in Irving, no.
All right. And this was the first question I had asked, and I'll ask you the same question. Where do you stand in terms of addressing anti-Muslim rhetoric that has become so widespread in Texas, fueled by anti-Muslim sentiments expressed by our Governor Greg Abbott and other high-profile politicians?
I believe in protecting the First Amendment rights, and if anyone knows discrimination, it's me. I've already faced discrimination because I'm simply a Black woman in this race. My grandmother lived in Irving at one point. This was the first place where she bought her house, and she was chased out of Irving, and she ended up moving to East Dallas because of the hate she received. So I understand firsthand how hate feels. Also, the Muslim community contributes massively to Irving. You guys help as far as our citizens, our residents. There's so many contributions that you make. Food bank, there's a lot, bill pay assistance. I am aware of that. And I would do everything in my power to make sure that Muslims were protected and is protected, stays protected in Irving. Is it if it relates to ICE and things like that? I would honestly be at a crossroads because I have strong beliefs as it pertains to terrorists that did cross our border under Joe Biden, and the things that has happened. I don't know if you guys are aware, but I mean, there was literally a bomb threat today at the North Park Mall, and the entire mall was shut down. So there's a lot of people that's on edge, and a lot of people are afraid. So I understand people's tendencies to stereotype the Islamic community. However, I am not a part of that stereotype. I understand, again, how you guys feel as it relates to everything as far as God, the importance of family, the importance of children, protecting your children. I understand that. I see Muslims as people. We all want a safe place to stay, a safe place to raise our children. We all want to contribute to this community, and that is exactly what I want.
Thank you so much. That ends our forum. I don't. Do we have any audience questions that we would like to? No. But thank you to Dr. Olivia and Ms. Jackson. This has been a very productive forum. I appreciate your time, uh, the both of you, and Mr. Zapanta that he came and he had to leave early. Thank you to everybody who's watched us live on YouTube. And please go out, vote. Early elections begin April 20th to 28th. You have seen all three candidates. You have heard their voices, their what they stand for. So please go out and vote. And election day is May 2nd. So thank you to all of you, and thank you to the both of you again.
Thank you.
Good evening, and I am back with mayoral candidate Zhanae Jackson, and we wanted to do a clarification. I asked the question, do you support expanding Irving's participation in the federal 287G program, which allows local law enforcement to collaborate with ICE on immigrant arrests? Yes or no, keeping in mind that close to 60% of Irving's population is of immigrant background. Now, here's the thing. When we were having the live forum, I think a lot of the details of the questions got sort of mixed up in the whole discussion and all of that.
Absolutely.
And after the cameras went off, we sort of discussed it again. And please, I want Zhanae to clarify her answer, which is much different than what was recorded.
Yes, right. So I will absolutely not participate in that program. I am friends with a few mayors, and one specific mayor in Dallas. I contacted him, and when it came down to that mayor working with ICE, I actually advised him not to work with ICE, and he did it. And there was also another candidate. I'm not sure if I should mention these people names.
I don't think so.
But there was another candidate that was running for commissioner, and that candidate is a Latino, and she was not speaking against ICE. And I went to her and I told her in her face how I felt. I felt like she was a coward, and she was not standing up for her people. And 2 days later, she went on a news show and she stood up for her people. So when it comes down to working with ICE, I absolutely will not allow ICE and the police officers to work together. I would not expand that program.
Thank you so much for the clarification. And I'm glad that we had that discussion.
Yes, ma'am.
Because sometimes, words get in the way of clarity, and we want clarity, especially for all our candidates.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, it is not about one fit. That's why we have this forum. Okay, this is a unbiased forum. We want all the answers and not answers that serve us. The other question that I unfortunately didn't get to ask you is that in city governance, council meetings are an integral part of what is discussed in terms of agenda. Last year, 3 of those agenda items were removed 72 hours, were removed from the agenda, even though they were approved to go on, and they were submitted 72 hours before the meeting as per the requirements. One of them, the 3 items were the casino zoning, call for ceasefire in Gaza, and fiscal transparency. Mr. Zapanta had explained that this was because there was a majority agreement to not include those, even though they were submitted 72 hours prior to the meeting. My question to you is, you had already clarified that you were against casino in Irving. If it came on the addendum for to for a ceasefire or a ceasefire resolution for Gaza, what would your stance on that be?
If I was on council,
Mm-hmm.
it's submitted 70. It was submitted in the proper time frame.
Right.
So I don't understand why they
Right.
just abandoned or kicked it out as if it was not submitted properly. If that was to happen while I was mayor and I knew of a situation like that, I would definitely raise a concern and say, hey, is this due to discrimination? Is it, why are these specific things not, especially in the fiscal responsibility, that's big.
Right.
I think for those two things to be purposely thrown out says a lot about the city council that we have right now. And I believe, if anything, that should spark a fire in everyone to say, hey, we need a change and we need a change now. Because I wouldn't allow that. That's discrimination. If, like I said, if it's presented in the correct time frame, that's something that is supposed to be on the addendum. Why would I change it? Why would I stop you guys from having the opportunity to be able to do something like that for Gaza? I wouldn't stop that.
All right, thank you so much. And again, this was to clarify what the questions that we had asked, and one of them that we had missed. And I'm so glad that we had the opportunity to discuss this and clarify your position. And thank you so much, and good luck to you.
Thank you.
Again, everybody remember, May 2nd is election day. Early voting is April 20th to the 28th.
Thank you.